Did you like what you saw? Gasping as I smacked him in his chest, making him roar in laughter at my reaction. I tried to look anywhere but at him. I saw two guys that I was looking at with Mandy. I forgot their names. They were looking at our table. I noticed that their friend, a supposedly alpha, or was it soon to be one? He was nowhere in sight. I couldn't help but look around to find him. Looking for me? James spoke as he sat the opposite of me. No, yes, I was. Stammering, I told him. He shook his head at me and turned towards Mandy. Hi, beautiful. Having a good day so far. She went bright red in a second, making him chuckle at her. Did you hear what Coach said? Max asked us all. You mean about the joined practice? Tyson spoke. What joined practice? Annie cut in, being the curious one. I was curious myself as I haven't heard anything. Does it mean that our cheerleader practice will be different now? Well, we are having a combined practice with the team from Cornell High School. Oh, that sounds like fun. Finally getting a grip on herself, Mandy spoke up. James growled low. I looked at him as he ignored my gaze. More guys to drool over. Right, Ollie? Annie poked me teasingly, making me groan and my brother to look in question at us both. Taylor and Max burst into laughter as Tyson gave Annie a glare. What did I miss here? James asked us in question, feeling confused. Well, Ollie Modal. I covered her mouth with my arms so she couldn't say. My reaction made Tyson chuckle, looking at me amusingly. But it also made my brother raise his eyebrow at me. Ollie, James. Batting my eyes at him, I countered. What did you do now? I haven't done anything. Why do you always think I did something wrong? Tyson tried to cover his laugh next to me as I smacked his arm. Will someone tell me what happened? Ollie was ogling over Tyson on her math period. Mandy told him. James's head turned fast in Tyson's and mine direction. Okay, now everyone just chill and stop picking at her. Let's eat. Tyson spoke as he took my hand in his under the table and gave it a light squeeze. Feeling grateful even though I still wanted to smack him for this morning. I was happy he changes the subject and everyone was engrossed in talking as we eat along our meals. Ready for English class? Lizzie asked me as she was cleaning her tray. Yes. It is Shakespearean week. Do you think we will be doing some play? Who knows? But I wouldn't be surprised if that was to happen. Wait for me here. I will be right back, I said, standing up from my seat. I was about to leave the cantina. Where are you going? Tyson stopped me as he asked. I just need to get my book for the English class, as I have forgotten to take it out of my locker. Okay. Do you want me to go with you and keep you company? He asked again. I couldn't help but smile at him at that. How sweet he was and considerate if we are to forget. He deliberately tried to tease me just this morning. Not that I was complaining, as he does have a body build that takes a breath away. Thank you, but no need really. I won't be long. I took off to the school hallway and walked the corridors to my locker. As I got to my locker, I opened it and decided I will replace the books I won't need anymore, so I don't have to carry them around, and just take ones I will be needing. Soon enough, as I was done and closing my locker, that intoxicating smell was engulfing me and making Aurora restless. I stopped in my tracks as I leaned my head, smelling that scent, cinnamon and vanilla. Mate, I heard Aurora say, making my heart jump and do a happy dance in my chest. I walked slowly with my books pressed to my chest, following the scent. This time, the scent was stronger and not faint as when I followed it, and it leads me to that girl. Taking a turn, I found myself bumping into something hard as a wall and started to fall down, but was stopped as I felt a strong grip on my waist. As sparks flew from the contact, my heart was beating so loudly, and fast. I was sure he could hear it. Swallowing, I slowly looked up as I found myself staring into the most beautiful shade of gray eyes that were widened as they looked back into my poles of green. Mate, I was walking through the hallway as we just finished our practice. So guys were waiting for me at the cantina while I showered and dressed. The whole weekend, I couldn't get that girl out of my mind since the moment I first saw her. Shadow, my wolf, was jumping in my head since that day. We first started to go here to school. At first, I wasn't sure why he was acting up so strange. And then when I saw her in the cantina, she took my breath away. I can't say for sure, as Shadow said her inner animal was blocking him out, but when he said she might be our mate, that is when I flipped. So this weekend, I partied with my friends, and still, her eyes would pop into my mind. So I did what I do the best. Hooked up with a girl to forget the girl. So here I am now running through the hallway as my heart was beating fast. Can't be sure, is it due to the fact I was running, to which I am used to and love, or because I will get to see that green-eyed beauty? What am I think? Stop it. Shadow was not helping either, as he was consumed with the thoughts of the flashing images of her eyes, lips. Fuck, I'm blocking you out. Finally, having some peace and quiet in my head, I speed up ahead, nearing the corner when it hit me all out of a sudden. Lilies. And dew. Panicking, I tried to slow down, but the next thing that happened, someone crashed into my chest, and I reacted instinctively as I saw her falling down on the floor, so I grabbed her and pulled her up. Breathing deep and fast, her scent hit me like a bulldozer. My mind was clouded as I was looking into her mesmerizing pools of green, hearing her heartbeat racing the same pace as my own as the sparks flew from our contact. Shadow's voice broke through the barriers, froze me, making my eyes grew wide. Mate! I heard her breath hitched as I could see it in her eyes. The same realization dawned onto her, and the next thing I heard, her soft low voice saying the same exact thing. Mate. Everything happened in a rush and blur as my eyes were locked onto hers. I could read the desire in her eyes that was probably the same as in mine. Fuck. What am I doing? Her eyes were wide as she closed them for a moment to try to compose herself as we were standing there looking at each other wide-eyed. I couldn't but take a closer look at her features. Her long silky light brown hair with a little hint of light waves in it, heart-faced shape, beautiful and flawless face, small perky nose, and plum pink kissable as fuck lips. But the most intriguing and captivating were those beautiful round pools of emerald color eyes. I felt as I was under the spell by just looking into them. Mark, I heard a voice calling me, and hurriedly we separated as I took a step back from her, not losing eye contact in the process. I turned my head for a moment to look at who is calling for me, and I realized I don't have much time. Turning back my head at her, I felt my breath hitch in my throat as by seeing her again with her lips a little swollen from my kiss. Clearing my throat, I forced myself to speak. What is your name? Her eyes were inspecting my face closer now as they wandered down over my body slowly. If she keeps this up, I swear I will grab her and take her to an empty room, clearing my throat again for a second time, hoping I will get her attention. I repeated my question. Olivia. She spoke softly, and I felt the need to grab her and hold her in my arms. Fuck. This can't be happening. Cursing inside of my head at the moon goddess and her stupid play of a matchmaker, and my weakness that I felt when I grabbed her and kissed her. I heard her softly asking me my name. I looked at her thinking, wishing that things were different. I didn't want a mate. Not yet at least, and now I found her and she is none other but a freaking siren, knowing well that anyone who finds their mate from a different species, he or she is to reject that bond and move on. I'll admit, I said, If that was ever to happen to me, it will be a piece of cake to say the words and walk away. I was free. I had girls chasing after me, and I could do anything I wanted. But that was before I ran into Olivia. Fuck. How am I supposed to do that? Just the thought of doing it is making me feel heartache in my chest. And I am supposed to say that out loud. Fucking elders. Fucking law. Growling out at the train of my thought, I saw her slightly jump. Great. Now scare her to your asshole. Marcus. My name is Marcus. She smiled slightly as I answered, and I heard her repeat my name. Marcus. Hearing her say, my name was like a melody. I wanted to hear more and more. Shit, Marcus. Get a hold of yourself. You can't be with her. She deserves better than you. Taking a deep breath, I exhaled it slowly as I clenched shut for a second. My eyes gathering the courage and clear my head. Olivia. Listen. As I started to speak, I was interrupted by a pair of arms clinging on my neck, as a body was pressed tightly into mine. Mark, baby. I was looking all over for you. A low growl was heard, and my eyes snapped at Olivia as she covered her mouth. As I was about to say something, she turned around and spoke to Olivia. Who are you? I could see Olivia trying to calm herself, and my hands were itching to hold her in my arms and help her to calm down. Instead, I peeled myself off from grabbing arms and spoke. This is Olivia. We bumped into each other and her books fell down, so I was about to help her gather them. Olivia said nothing as her jaw was tight, and I could see a fire in her eyes. Great. Just what I fucking needed. Oh, that explains it then. Will you go with me to the cantina, baby? She purred as her arms again came over my neck, exhaling as she was like a fucking octopus, grabbing me non-stop. Sure, as I answered, I couldn't but not see a hurt pass through Olivia's eyes. Before I was pulled away, I crouched down and gathered Olivia's books and handed them to her. I am sorry. As I said that, I walked away trying not to look back at her. Entering the cantina, I saw Logan and Tanner. As they waved us over, sitting down with them, my mind flew to my interaction with Olivia. The next moment I saw her enter the cantina and go to her usual table. The only difference now was the table was full except for just one empty seat. Watching her closely, I saw her take that seat which was next to the brown-haired asshole who just smiled at her and said something into her ear. I couldn't help the growl that escaped me, which in return made her look at me. Baby, what is wrong? Trying to get myself in check before I take that asshole by his throat and throw him away from her. I turned towards my friends and tried to engage in a conversation with them all. I felt a hand sliding over my biceps and a leaning of her body as she whispered, I can feel your tense, baby. We can go somewhere, and I can help you take away that tension out of your body. A chair fell down, and the next thing I saw was Olivia rushing out of the cantina. 3 days after Tilda. It has been 3 whole days since I found out Marcus is my mate. I couldn't go back to school as I didn't want to see him. I felt rejected, even if he didn't actually reject me. James was at my back, asking me what has happened. But I lied saying I wasn't feeling so well. Well, it wasn't a complete lie, as when I saw that she-wolf clinging all over my mate making my blood boil as I wanted to rip out her hands, and realizing that she is the same person I ran into the other day when I followed his scent, I just couldn't be there and look at them. Aurora told me that Shadow tried to speak with her, but even she was furious as she didn't want to hear him out. So now here I am, home, being lazy on my bed with a book in my lap as I tried to focus on, but failing miserably. I turned off my phone as I just wanted to be alone. But I knew that soon enough I will need to face the reality again. Olivia, Mom shouted from downstairs. Yes, Mom, Lizzie is here. Great. Well, when I think about it, it is better that Lizzie came than Mandy. Mandy would not stop asking me until I finally tell her the reason why I was not going out of my room. Dragging myself from the bed, I placed the book on the nightstand and walked downstairs. Hey, Lizzie. Putting on my forced smile, I greeted her. Hey, I brought you homework. Oh, thank you. Want to stay for a while and help me with it? Sure. She happily smiled, and we walked back to my room. We spent a few hours studying, and she didn't at all open the forbidden subject. I felt myself relax a little more as we were just chatting about schoolwork that I got myself thinking. Should I tell her? Maybe she could give me a piece of advice on what to do. I didn't even notice that I was looking at her until she spoke. Okay, I can see that something is bothering you, and I didn't want to put pressure on you. But if you want to share it with me, you know I will not judge you. Thinking about it some more, I made my decision to tell her. Clearing up my throat, I tried again. I found my mate. Her eyes grew wide as she silently looked at me. Well, it is Marcus. My eyes, this time, grew wide as she said his name. Ho, how did you? She chuckled. I saw you how you were looking at him. And Samantha, this Monday. Samantha, the tall blonde, had her arms all over him. I growled. So, I was right. Reluctantly, I nodded my head. Wow, he is gorgeous. My eyes narrowed as she spoke dreamily about him. She noticed my glare and put her arms up. I am just saying, you are lucky, that is all. Lucky? How in the world am I lucky? He is a werewolf and I am a siren Lizzie, if you haven't noticed. Calm down. I know that part sucks. I chuckled at her choice of words. Yes, it sucks. You know that we can't accept the mating bond due to the law that strictly forbids it. Her eyes were sad as she was listening to me. Ollie, did he reject you? A sob escaped me as the thought of it happening was painful enough. Oh, Ollie, I am so sorry. She wrapped me in her embrace as I let myself feel vulnerable and cry. After a few minutes of me crying, I dried off my tears as I spoke. He didn't reject me, but he was about to. At least I think so. But then she came and interrupted him, so they left me alone. What happened? What happened? Taking a deep breath, I let myself go back to the memory of that day. I was going back to you all, and then I crashed into him. Giggling a little, I continued. My books and notes fell down as I was about to touch the floor as well, but he managed to catch me and pulled me up, and then next moment when we look at each other, I knew he is the one. She exhaled, a little dreamily. Yeah. A knight in the shiny armor. Well, what happened next is a little blurry, but we kissed. Her mouth went wide open. Oh my God. So did you like it? Laughing at her enthusiasm, I nodded my head. It was perfect. Feeling so right and intense. Lizzie nodded her head seriously, nudging me to go on. Well then, the rest you know. Oh, Ollie, so how was he? Was he what you wanted in a mate? Lizzie, we just meet and yes, I don't know. I don't know him. She was looking at me for a moment. Do you want to get to know him? That question got me speechless. I do, and I don't. It is complicated. She fell silent, and I was debating about the question within myself. Glancing at her, I couldn't stop myself from asking, what do you know about him? She grinned as she had a I knew it look, making me for a second regret I ever asked her. Well, he is a next in the line alpha of the Blue Moon Pack. I hear he is the big star in their old school. as a star player in the football team, and I felt her hesitate a moment, but I was too curious. I wanted to know all, and? Ollie. Well, oh, just say it. Okay. Well, they say he is a ladies' man. She gave me an I am sorry look. Snorting. I stayed silent. He is also smart. Did debates and is one of the top students in the class. Okay. How in the world do you know all of that? I was surprised. Well, when I noticed how you two were behaving in the cantina, I kind of maybe did a little research about him. She blushed. My eyes almost fell out of their sockets as I heard that. Why would you do that? And what do you mean, how you two were behaving? He was ignoring me and letting that blondie have her stinky paws all over him. Oh God, Ollie. Sometimes you can be so blind. Hey, chuckling, she said. I looked into him because you are my best friend, and I wanted to be sure he is not some psycho jerk, and if you really wanted to know, to which I think you should, the moment you left off, he left few minutes after 2. He did? Yes, he did, and yes without Samantha, growling at the mention of her name. What is she to him? I am not sure, but I know she is in the cheerleader team and has a crush on him for some time. Oh, and they say she is a real bitch, she whispered, leaning close to me. Well, whoever and whatever she was, I knew I didn't like her at all. Oh, I almost forgot. Tyson asked me to give you this. She reached into her pants pocket and pulled out a neatly folded piece of paper. Taking the paper from her hand, I unwrapped it. Dear Ollie, meet me tonight at 10 p.m. at Sunshine Peak. P.S. I won't accept no for an answer. What does it say? Lizzie was watching at me in anticipation. He wants to meet with me. Tonight. Ooh. Will you go? I gave her the look that says, seriously. You know how he is. Lizzie stayed a little while more with me, as we chatted and planned as well, watched some television shows. And then she was off. Now, I am here debating what to do. If I don't go, I know Tyson will come and just drag me out. So that makes me anyway to go, not knowing what to expect. I went to my closet and took my red dress with stripes all over it, and got into the shower. As soon as I was ready, James knocked on my door. Hey, he noticed I was dressed to go out and looked confused. Are you going somewhere? I contemplated what to say. I knew they were good friends, but even I didn't know why Tyson asked me out like this. Tyson asked to meet him, so I'm on my way there now. Did you need something? Oh yeah. I wanted to ask if you're up for a movie night. Just chilling here at home, but since you have plans, we can do that some other time. Sounds good. I smiled at him as I passed him by my doorway and got into the hallway. Ollie, he asked me as he was walking after me. Do you like Tyson? I stopped in the middle of my step as I looked at him. Dear God, did my brother just ask me that? As I was finally leaving the house, I was on my way to meet Tyson. It is funny how fate is. It was not so long ago that I would have been a nervous wreck and excited to have this late night. I don't even know how to call it, and now I am here walking to meet a gorgeous guy, and all that is on my mind is what Lizzie told me about Marcus. Approaching the place where I am to meet with Tyson, I went to sit under the willow tree. It was beautiful here, one of my favorite places. Everywhere around me are trees and grass filled with wildflowers. In the middle of it all stood a beautiful clear water lake. I would usually come here and sit right down where I am now when I wanted to clear my head and relax. It was my serenity. When Tyson first time found me here, it somehow became our joined go-to place. When we were kids, we would come here and play or swim in the lake. He would tell me his worries, or I would share mine. There was no judging allowed. It was our rule we set when we were younger. One day, he brought me here saying, "He has a surprise for me." I had to walk with a blindfold over my eyes, and still, he didn't trust me enough as he covered them over with his hands too. I was curious and annoyed at the same time. But soon as he took his hands and blindfold off, I squealed out as I couldn't stop grinning. He gave me my dream swing. It was hanging on the big branch of the willow, as its ropes were wrapped in ivy and flowers, as the seating was a rustic white wood-like. It looked as it was cut out from a fairy world. So beautiful. He gave me a push as he stayed there and pushed me over and over and over again until I finally didn't have enough of it. I was laughing so carefree, without a worry on my mind. "Hey, beautiful!" Startled as I heard his voice, I slightly jumped up from the place I was sitting on. He couldn't help himself as he clutched his stomach and laughed at me. "Sorry, princess, I didn't mean to startle you." He sat down next to me and bumped me with his shoulder. "Speak." I frowned at him. "At that, is that why you got me to come here at this hour?" "One of the reasons, yes. Now tell me what is wrong and remember our rule." He warned me as he closed his eyes to listen to me. I didn't plan on telling him the truth, and yet again, even if it is a silly rule, here we were always honest with each other. "Can we not talk about it, please?" I tried to plead at him, but he shook his head at me. "No? Now tell me what happened," sighing as I knew well how stubborn he is. I prepared myself to once again speak. "I found my mate." My voice was low as I spoke the words. His eyes snapped open as he turned his head towards me. As he narrowed his eyes at me, inspecting me, he spoke, "Who?" "Tyson. I really don't want to talk about that." "Who is it?" I looked him in the eyes as I noticed they held so many emotions I couldn't all name. I couldn't look at him, so turning my eyes away. Looking ahead to the lake, I said, "Marcus." He furrowed his brow as he was thinking, as in Marcus Silverman. I just nodded my head. He exhaled loudly as his hand racked through his hair. "Did you reject him?" My head snapped to him as my eyes narrowed at his question. He didn't flinch. He was just looking into my eyes, waiting for my answer. "Number. Ollie, don't. Why is the first thing you ask me a rejection question?" I was upset as I got up and walked away towards the lake. He followed me in an instant. He grabbed my arm and turned me towards him as his eyes were not leaving mine. "Ollie, he is a player and among that a werewolf. Either way, by law you or he is to reject each other." His hands cupped my face as his look was intense. My eyes watered. "Ollie, I know it is hard, but I am here for you, and I will be there for you when it is to happen. Don't worry." He kissed my forehead as he leaned down his on my own. My eyes were closed, as silent tears flew down from my eyes, staining my cheeks at the words he spoke truthfully to me. His thumbs brushed away my tears as he pulled me closer into his body, wrapping me in his warm embrace. I can't do it." My voice was muffled in his chest as I spoke low. "Not today, but tomorrow maybe." He spoke into my hair. "It is not fair." My voice broke as sobs once again racked through my body. He tightened his embrace as we stood there near the lake, me crying as he comforted me. "Shh, it is going to be okay, princess." His voice was sweet and soothing, but it didn't make my heart hurt any less. A growl was heard as I felt Tyson's body tense under my arms that were clutching tightly onto his shirt as I was crying. He pulled me away from him as he stood in front of me, covering me from danger. The wind blew, carrying the smell of the forest and flowers. But as its way turned, another scent followed and reached our way: cinnamon and vanilla. My eyes grew wide as I recognized the scent. It can't be. Another growl was heard as it was coming closer and closer to us. The sound of it sent sweet shivers to run all over my body. It was strong and powerful. Even if it was low, even more, it got straight to the point of what was wanted by a person behind the growl. Don't move. Just stay behind me. Tyson's low, firm voice spoke to me as his body stance went low, preparing himself for a fight. My heart was beating frantically as I didn't know what to do. Get away from her! A low baritone was heard, making me feel goosebumps all over my skin. You have no right to tell me what to do and what not to do, so turn around and go back the way you came, as you are not welcomed here. Tyson spoke as his own growls could be heard. I couldn't take it as I heard his voice. I leaned as to take a peek at him. What I saw made my mouth go watery. He was standing tall, facing Tyson, shirtless, as little droplets of sweat were glistering all over his ripped muscles that were covering every inch of his gorgeous torso. My eyes traveled lower over his strong, solid chest, lower over his abs till the edge of his shorts. His eyes snapped in my direction, momentarily locking in with my own, making my breath hitch. A growling sound as a firm hand pushed me behind the muscular back. It took a second for the air around us to be filled with the air of their power as they both crouched down, ready to pounce at each other. Panic raised inside of me. I didn't want either one of them to fight. Not even get hurt, not because of me. I reacted without thinking as I made a move and got in between the two, putting my palms on both of their chests. They didn't see it coming as they stopped and looked at me surprised. Ollie, get behind me. I told you not to move. Marcus growled louder as his nose flared, watching him, looking at my hand touching Tyson's chest. Removing my hand from Tyson's chest, I turned fully around towards Marcus, trying to catch his eyes with my own. Marcus. I called his name as he snapped his head towards me, not uttering a word. Feeling the tension in the air, I could barely breathe. I looked at Tyson, who was looking rigged as his chest was moving rapidly up and down. Tyson, could you please give us a moment? He looked at me, then back at Marcus as he looked to be contemplating. Then he nodded and turned his eyes at Marcus as he spoke. I will wait for you near our willow tree. And then he walked off slowly. Marcus snorted as he was watching him leave. Taking a much-needed breath, I looked at Marcus as I spoke. Marcus, what are you doing here? His eyes looked into mine, having a silent battle going inside of them. He was silent for a minute, taking in my face. I came to see you. 3 days. 3 fucking long days. I have been in agony. Worst of all is she managed to simply run away. And now I know for sure that she isn't going to school because she is avoiding me. Okay, 1 day, 2 days I am fine with. But 3, this is too damn much. If she won't come and face me, then fuck it. I'll find her, and we will have the talk. The only pleasure I have now is our practices are joined, so I get to kick that asshole's ass even if it is on the field. Hell. Better something than nothing at all. Ugh. The burned image that was now in my brain memory of his lips close to Olivia's ear. But again, I'm no better myself. I asked Logan to help me find my mate, and I have no idea how he got the information. But now I can go and see her. Even if it is from afar. Shadow was lightly put, pissed off at me, so silent treatment with occasional growling is what I'm getting all this time. What? A party! I have so much pent-up energy. It is driving me crazy, I think. I will go for a run. As I got off from my bench that I was using to do some workout on, I took my phone and earphones as well as an arms case for the phone, so I can do my workout as I run outside. Heading to the front door, I heard my dad's voice. "Where are you off to, son?" My dad walked in the hallway from the office that he is using to work from home. As my mom was complaining that he spends more time at the office than with his family. So here he is now, just heading out to do some running, placing one earpiece in my ear and preparing the other to do the same. My dad spoke again. "Okay, but don't be too late and keep your mind link open." "I mean it, Marcus." "Yes. Dad will do." Saying our goodbyes, I was off to a sprint as I passed by a few of my packmates on the way. I saw in the distance that Samantha noticed me as she was waving me over. Fucking great. Can't a guy get a break? I jogged over to where she was, with a few of her friends who were openly ogling me, making Samantha snarl at them. She turned towards me the moment they all pulled back from her warning, and pouted her lips as she batted her eyelashes at me. I knew what was coming. Probably she wanted something, or to complain about something again. What? I know I might sound rude, but I was annoyed honestly. And not seeing Olivia for so long is taking a toll on me too. God. Since when am I a pathetic loser whipped over some girl? Okay. Yes, she is my mate, but still, I missed you, baby. I rolled my eyes at her and was about to start my run. Her hand grabbed onto my wrist as she stopped me. I looked at her again, feeling annoyed. "What is it, Samantha?" she huffed. Before she spoke, "You haven't called me for days, and we haven't been together since the weekend." "What is wrong, baby?" "Great. Just what I fucking needed. Add more to the pile and make me drown with it." Exhaling deeply, I turned to her as I kept my face void of emotions. "Samantha, we aren't dating. We agreed to hook up, did that, done that, and now leave me alone." I turned around, freeing my wrist from her grip, and started my much-needed run. I saw how her face fell down as anger consumed her. I wasn't stupid. I knew what she wanted. She is a power-hungry she-wolf. Yeah, we dated a little before, but when I saw how she was, I broke it off. Occasional hookups are all I agreed to, but no girlfriends or more. Except now I just can't seem to get one specific girl out of my head, plus Shadow is not helping with that either. As I ran through the forest, now and then greeting a fellow packman in patrol, I took a sprint towards the open side where the lake is. Thinking about Olivia and how to approach her and what to say, I decided if she doesn't come to school tomorrow, I will go to her house. And that is it. While running, my music was blasting in my ears as I was pushing myself more and more, coming closer to the end of a forest line. I thought I have imagined her scent in the air, and my tormented mind was playing a trick on me. Slightly slowing down as I was nearly out of the tree line, the wind smacked me in my face, carrying 2 cents on its way. I smelt it, feeling drawn to it. Lilies and dew. My heart started racing faster in my chest. I knew that scent. It's Olivia. But what is she doing here? It doesn't matter. At least now, I will get to see her and speak with her. Finally, with no interruptions, feeling all of a sudden light in my steps as I was almost bouncing happily, walking towards her. I couldn't contain even my smile that was appearing on my face. Yes, I was excited to see her again. Working on how to approach her and what to say, I was slowly exiting the forest area, having an internal practice of a dialogue that I wanted to play out with Olivia. But the next thing I knew, my steps stopped in their advances, as the wind again blew in my direction. And this time, I could smell another scent as well as Olivia's. I took a deep whiff off it, and a growl I couldn't contain ran past my lips. As my eyes started to scan the area in search of my mate, and that asshole, my fist was itching to break his jaw, rip his throat, any possible scenario there was available, and that ended with that asshole not breathing. Finally, I saw her, but she was wrapped in that asshole Tyson's arms. My blood started to boil inside of me. Mate, who does he think he is? How dares he touch her? Hearing his warning growl made me smirk at him. Does he think he scares me? Think again, asshole. We stared each other down, feeling each other's power and strength as our inner animals were awoken and calling each other for a fight. As we both were alphas, we don't back down. I narrowed my eyes at him as I spoke. Get away from her. The asshole bared his teeth at me as he spoke. You have no right to tell me what to do and what not to do, so turn around and go back the way you came, as you are not welcomed here. Fury consumed me some more as I wanted to rip his fucking throat out. He can't keep me away from my mate. I felt her eyes prickling on my skin. I could feel her gaze as it travels over my body. If this situation was different, I would have maybe teased her. Not now. Now I just need to get rid of this annoying mosquito. I looked at her eyes and felt the pull towards her. But then, the mosquito fishman again meddled in. He pushed my mate behind his back. He again purposefully touched my mate, knowing he has no right to. Feeling anger rising more inside of me, as the air around us was tensed and filled with our thirst for each other's blood. We both took a stance and crouched down, ready to pounce at each other. The moment I was about to jump, I was stopped momentarily as Olivia jumped in between us. I felt her hand on my naked chest as it calmed me down, feeling sparks from the touch, bringing my anger down as pleasure was slowly consuming me. But then I saw she had her palm on his chest too, which didn't help subdue the bloodthirsty hunger I felt towards him. Soon as she saw my mood, she took her hand off of his chest, and what she did next made me want to be a jerk and flip that asshole a bird and say she is mine. Marcus, what are you doing here? Hearing her voice after so long made me need her close to me even more. I wanted to have my arms on her, to kiss those plump lips I tasted just a few days ago and could still feel. I know the law and rules and all. I'm the alpha. But looking at her here, I just couldn't. I came to see you. It was such a magical moment, so perfect and right, at least until that jerk didn't come along and stick his nose in it. I didn't want to leave her alone with him, but when she asked me in her sweet and gentle voice, I reluctantly gave them some space. But I would be damned if I went far away and leave her all alone with him. I didn't trust him. And I think that was obvious enough, as much as it pained me to know that he will bring her hurt and pain only. I wanted her to be set free from him and his bond. It is not fair that of all creatures, he gets to be her mate, looking up at the moon that shines up in the sky. Silently I asked at it, why, moon goddess? Why did you give her to him? Why couldn't you hear my silent plea and grant me my biggest heart desire? It is not fair. I know some say life sucks, and it is unfair, but we are talking about forever. A precious bond between two souls that fit together like perfectly shaped puzzle pieces. Screw it. Screw the bond and mates and all that shit. I know what I want and who I want, and I am not giving that up without a fight. Even if that is the last thing I do. I know Ollie for a long time. I know what she likes and what she doesn't. She shared with me her secrets, as I did with her for as long as I can remember. Can he say any of these things? I have to make her realize that she deserves better than him. I need a plan as to how to beat their bond and have her for myself. I turned my eyes to look in their direction as I was hidden under the willow tree. Watching over them as they spoke, I could see Marcus move a step towards her as his fists were opening and closing. If he tries to touch her, I will get involved. I don't care if she will be mad at me for doing that, but I won't stand still and let him charm her with his lies. I know him. I know him really well. Not only we played matches against each other, I knew him outside the school and the field. I knew what his reputation was like, and if he thinks Ollie will be okay with accepting a mate as such, oh, he is dead wrong. Feeling thankful for once to council members. Elders, I was never feeling more grateful than I am right now for putting down the law as no mixed pair species mattings are allowed. I can't let anyone hurt her. His rejection will hurt her, but I will be by her side and help her heart to heal. Yes, I will make her fall in love with me and claim her as my own, feeling pumped as I made silently a wove to win over Olivia. I kept a watchful eye over the two as they spoke. I saw she was upset as she was speaking to him, pointing at his chest with her index finger, saying something in what seemed like fury. That is interesting. Maybe she will reject his sorry ass, and my wooing gets easier sooner. I looked at Marcus, who seemed shocked or surprised. I couldn't tell as the jerk was fast with schooling his facial expressions. I was pacing up and down under the willow tree, waiting for Olivia to or shout for help, or call my name, or run to me. Hell, I was restless, slightly growling as I wished to just go out there and take her away from him. I kept on glancing at them. Next moment, I stopped pacing as I saw Olivia, turning around and storming away from him. Olivia. I heard Marcus calling after her as he made a move to run after her. I jumped ahead and stood in front of him, stopping him as he growled at me furiously. Move! He growled out at me with so much fury that would make even the trees to pull out their roots, and ran away. No, you are not going after her, nor you will ever again come near her. Got that? I spoke fiercely. If you try to stop me, I will kill you. His eyes narrowed down at me, but I didn't care. I won't let him near her, even if it kills me. If you think, Marcus, I would let you use her and then hurt her as some trash, then think again. I know how you are, and everyone knows. You pick them up, then you ditch them, and I don't fucking care even if they say that you are the gentleman as you treat them right. You are not going near her again. He took a step closer in my direction. As he spoke low, why? Don't tell me you want her. He said that with a menacing growl. You know damn well that you two cannot be together. So be smart, Marcus, and for once be fair. Fair. I didn't fucking ask for a mate, none less one that is not even my own species. He tried to push past me, but I was fast to move as I was back in front of him again. He growled out, irritated, but I kept going on. No one can pick who we want to be mated to. Well, when rejecting the ones given to us, we can. But Marcus, be reasonable here. The law forbids you from mating. You know very well what would happen if you both go that way. Is that the future you want for her? He stopped as he thought about my words. I held my breath as I waited. Number, then you know what you need to do for her, but also for yourself too. Turning around, I walked away from him as I left him in his thoughts, as I knew he was processing what I just said to him. He didn't call me back, nor did he try anymore to run after Ollie. I was glad about that. I followed her scent through the woods as it leads me back to my car. I saw her as she was standing at the edge of the cliff on the side, just watching ahead over the forest below, while her arms were wrapped around herself. Slowly, I walked towards her. Ollie, she didn't turn around. No movement, no sound. She just stood there, watching deep in her thoughts. Walking closer to her, I placed my hand on her shoulder as I gently called her name again. Olivia. She said, barely audible as she softly sobbed, not willing or able to help or stop myself. I turned her around towards me as my arms wrapped her tightly in my embrace. For the second time that evening, I let her cry in my chest. I don't know how long it lasted, nor did I care. I was feeling content to have her so close and in my arms. I was happy that she needed me, and that I am here to collect her broken heart pieces, just so I can glue them back up together. Minutes passed by as her sobbing has calmed down slowly. I am sorry. I heard her muffled voice as my heart tightened at the sadness and pain I heard in it, pulling her away just a little so I can see her beautiful eyes. I placed my finger under her chin as I pulled her face to face with my own. Finally, as her eyes meet my own, I spoke, "You have nothing to be sorry for, princess." My eyes drifted to her plump lips. I wanted so much to kiss them, to feel how soft they are under my own. She wiggled out of my embrace as she couldn't look at me anymore. Shit. I need to be patient and go slow. I could feel she was restless as all the energy of the intense feelings got to her, and I knew what to do. Taking a step towards her, I took her hand as I tugged at it, gently pulling her with me to follow. She looked at me surprised, a question in her eyes, and I smiled. "Come with me." As I pulled her with me towards my car, she followed even reluctantly, smiling happily at the idea that I knew she will love. My steps moved faster as I couldn't wait to finally get to my car and drive with her. As we walked, I was fast walking as she was more jogging after me. She spoke, "Tyson, slow down, please." I looked at her over my shoulder as I stopped abruptly, making her almost crash with my back. I turned around and picked her up bridal style and carried her to the car. "Tyson, put me down," she squealed. I just shook my head as to say, "No," and continued on walking. She tried to wiggle out, but to no avail. Finally getting to my car, I unlocked the door and opened it as I gently placed her in the passenger seat, making sure she is safe. I walked around to the driver's side and slid inside as I closed the door, putting the key in the ignition lock. She asked me, "Where are we going?" The engine roared into life, making me smile as I looked at her and answered, "To the beach." Driving in the car, I felt numb. My mind was going back to Marcus. He came to see me. The feeling was at the same time warm as excitement rushed through me at his words, but at the same time, I couldn't stop the feeling of sadness and anger. What Lizzie had told me about him and his ways, and what I have seen in that hallway in Cantina. It just ripped my heart apart. The thought of that she-wolf drooling over my mate made my blood boiled as the anger present inside of me wanted. No needed to rip off those claws of hers. He was mine. Yet he wasn't. The bitter truth of the reality crushed onto my heart as even we are destined to be together. A perfect fit. We couldn't. Being together puts at risk our kind. And how could I put my own people in such great danger for the benefit of my own happiness? Goddess, why did you have to make him my mate over all other sirens that without any obstacles for us to be together, I just had to end up with a werewolf, an alpha, blowing out a long breath? I leaned my forehead on the cold window of the door. Tyson didn't utter a word since he placed me in his car and we started moving. "The beach," he said. Why would he take me there? I could feel Aurora's sadness since our encounter with Marcus. She hasn't said a word to me. I closed my eyes as the drive lulled me into a dreamless sleep. I don't know how long has it passed, but the next moment I was slowly being shaken as Tyson's smiling face was looking at me, trying to get me to wake up. "Wake up, princess. We are here." He extended his arm to me to take it, slowly trying to shake off the sleep from my eyes. I took his hand and slowly got out of the car. I looked around us and saw beautiful sand all around us as little waves were slowly crashing onto the few rocks that were showing slightly out from the ocean. The seagulls were flying above our heads as dawn was rising to color the whole scene in beautiful soft colors, making it all looking so magical. I felt excitement at what my eyes just saw, as the ocean water was calling for me to just go and immerse myself in it. Tyson walked ahead, and I could see the excitement in his eyes as they were watching ahead. Come. Nudging his head in the direction of the ocean, we walked ahead, closing up our distance as we neared the line between the sand and the water. I was surprised when I saw him taking off his shirt as his hands went for the buckle of his pants, making me instantly blush and look away. Unfortunately, he saw my reaction, which made him chuckle. I'm not shy, princess, but anyway, we cannot swim in our clothes. As he said those words, my eyes widened as I snapped my head to look at him to see if he was being serious. Swim? My voice was a little shriek as it came out. He laughed as he loosens his belt and walked closer to me. The ocean will do us both good, and our sirens need that. So yes, we will dive in and shift, just trust me, princess. His half-naked proximity was making it so hard to form a sentence, or even a word for that matter. Swallowing the lump that was in my throat, I reluctantly nodded my head. My eyes drifted over his solid chest. He was tall, broad, fit, and muscles that made your mouth water. He wasn't bad-looking at all, but not close as mouth-watering as Marcus is. Not letting myself to think any more about Marcus, I shook my head as I turned my back to Tyson. Can you at least give me some privacy? Please? He laughed as he said, Of course, princess. I heard his feet walking away from me as I took a fast peek over my shoulder to be sure he was gone. Trying to will myself to undress out in the public, I heard the water splash as it made me turn towards it to see Tyson already standing in the ocean, waist deep, and waiting for me. Tyson, you said you will give me some privacy. Turn around then. He laughed as his hands raised up as he surrenders, turning his back at me. If you don't come in 5 minutes, I will turn around, he warned. Working on my clothes, I got undressed a little clumsily, but at least it was fast, as I made a run for the ocean and dive in. The feeling of the cold sea on my warm skin was liberating. As my head slowly surfaced up, while opening my eyes, I saw Tyson watching me. Slowly he approached me, which made me a little nervous as hell. I am naked, and so was he. Tyson, what are you doing? Coming closer. Obviously, he smirked. No, I mean this is far enough as a good distance. He arched his eyebrow at me in question. Are you still feeling shy, princess? Or is it that us both being naked in this beautiful ocean makes you feel nervous? He asked me with a sly smirk that was playing on his lips. I wanted to punch him and erase that smirk away, but that would mean I need to get close to him. And that is definitely a big no. Just stay there and take that smug look off of your face. He stopped in his way to approach me closer, but kept that stupid smug on his face. Rolling my eyes at him, I looked ahead over the horizon, as we both were silent for a few moments. Are you ready, princess? Turning my head back to look at him, a smile appeared on my face. Yes. The next moment, I saw him changing into his siren. Closing my eyes, I reached to Aurora as I could feel the surge of energy flow through my body, bringing little shiny scales on the surface, where my legs once were, and now a long, strong, muscular light blue tail stood. It was rather interesting that the temperature of the water wasn't feeling anymore, as cold as it was before I shifted. Looking at my arms, it was a slight change. They were almost looking like human ones, yet not quite exact. My senses were sharper as I dived deeper under the surface, moving fast, feeling so light and free. I felt a presence coming fast towards me from behind. As I turned around, I could see shiny, greenish-yellow scales, as it just flew so fast next to me. I tried to hear the movements, or see. Where did he go? I couldn't hear nor see anything as it was dark this deep down. Plus, the underwater reef is not helping at all, swimming slowly ahead as I extended my arm to touch the seaweed. I was startled as a squeal passed my lips at a sudden movement that was as fast as it grabbed my arm and pulled me forward. As I fell ahead, I found myself collide with a strong chest and arms wrapped securely around my waist. Hearing his laughter, I couldn't contain myself as I screamed at him as my arms hit him on his chest, doing no damage as he didn't even budge. "You jerk! You scared me, giving me almost a heart attack." Tyson's laugh was loud, as it echoed all around me. I wanted to be madder at him, but his laugh was contagious as I started to laugh myself. "I am sorry, princess, but I just couldn't help myself. Plus, you are so adorable when you are mad and pouting." I smacked him some more at his chest as he continued to laugh. Finally, as his laughter died down, he looked at me with his playful eyes. "He leads us ahead too." I had no idea where we were going. We swam deeper into the ocean as I could see all kinds of different ocean lives under us as we passed by them. Seeing a red starfish on my right side, I couldn't but figure out why she looked so strange. Then, I saw her struggling as her leg was stuck under the heavy weight of fallen rock. I turned to head towards her, making Tyson stop in his tracks. "Where are you going?" "I have to help her." He looked at me confused as I just kept swimming towards the reef, where the poor starfish was stuck. "Help? Who?" "Starfish." He didn't say anything else as he waited for me. Looking at my movements, as I came close to the starfish, I lifted the rock and threw it aside. She was fine as she walked away and hid. I had a huge grin on my face as I looked towards Tyson. He was having a strange look as he was looking at me. But soon as he saw I was looking back at him, those emotions were fast gone. He swam close to me as he took my hand. "Come now." With a gentle smile on his face, he pulled lightly at my arm and we swam ahead. The day was beautiful, and the free swim, even the help I couldn't contain myself and did with a few little sea creatures. Crab, starfish. It was liberating, and just what I needed to clear my mind from all the drama. Later afternoon, Tyson drove me back home, making my parents giving me a look that made me red to the roots of my hair. Soon as I got to my room, James couldn't even give me a minute to change as he barged right inside. "So, how was your date?" I couldn't let her go just like that, so I followed them. It was hard to control Shadow when we first saw them together. When Tyson left me there, standing in my own thoughts, I was struggling as to what to do, finally snapping out of my lost state. I heard the car in the far distance as it was driving away. Feeling my heart squeeze in panic, I wasted no time as I shifted to my wolf form and followed their scents. It took me a little longer, as it is hard to distinguish the scent that is being carried at the high speed of the car, so stopping a few times to find the direct way. Finally, I smelled her. Her scent was taking over my senses, making me feel as I am floating on the clouds. I hid as I saw them in the ocean. I couldn't see well from the place I was standing, so I searched for a better spot. That's when I saw a cliff and decided to go there. Running towards the cliff, I climbed up fast, trying to be silent and invisible as much as possible. Thankfully, no one saw me. I crouched low onto my wolf's belly and crawled towards the edge of the cliff as I watched over her. My eyes were captivated by the sight of her. She seemed as she was deep in her thoughts, but yet at the same time content. The moment I saw a movement a little further away from her, I noticed it is Tyson, which immediately made me raise my lip and bare my fangs. I was about to jump over the cliff and dug my fangs deep into his flesh when I heard my mate's voice. The hackles on my back were raised upwards, as I didn't trust that asshole. If looks could kill, that would be one ugly dead siren right now. There. Sometimes I wished I had the laser sight as Superman or that guy Cyclops from X-Men. It would be useful to be able to use such power right now, not to mention target practicing. But that's not my luck. Glaring daggers at him. I scanned the area and my eyes landed on discarded clothes that laid down on the beach. Realizing whose clothes those were, I snapped my eyes fast on Tyson and Olivia as I raised up on my feet, feeling on the edge. Tyson saw me. I was sure of that as his eyes landed upon me the moment I stood up on my 4 legs. He spoke to Olivia and then he smirked at me, looking smug as he shifted. Everything at that moment happened so fast. Soon as Tyson shifted, Olivia followed, and they were gone. I felt as I was losing my mind, as I let out a frustrated howl. That son of a bitch. I'll kill him. Pacing at the edge of the cliff, I looked over the ocean's surface, in hopes to see her again. But as hours passed, my hopes drowned. Marcus, where are you? My dad mind-linked me. At the beach. Why? I answered. You said you are going for a run. What are you doing all the way there? He asked me. I took a run until I reached this place. What is the matter, Dad? I said. Come home now. I have to speak with you about something important, and it cannot be done this way. I could hear his stern voice as he said, Okay, am coming back. Blowing out a breath, I answered him. Soon as I cut the mind link, I looked at the ocean one more time, waiting for just a couple more minutes, and then I decided it is time for me to leave. Running back, I took the time to think of everything that happened. I knew she was upset because Samantha and I tried to apologize. Yet she didn't let me. When she asked me who Sam is to me, I told her, honestly. I told her she is my ex-girlfriend and nothing more. Yet I couldn't say that even after we broke up, we would get together now and then. It didn't mean to me anything, and I know that sounds so bad of me, but it was just plain sex. Nothing more. But seriously, she is so mad that she can't look at me now knowing of my reputation. I mean, what the fuck? Yes, I was no angel, but doesn't she get it that? Fuck. I just want her. I am fucking smitten over her, and she is oblivious of that truth. I guess I will need to show her then, and I have no idea how. Great. Nearing the packlands, the warriors on patrol greeted me as they bowed their heads and bared their necks to me. I ran along further, as I could see the pack house ahead. As closer as I came, I heard squeals that made me slow down my steps. Uncle Marcus, turning my wolf's head to the left side. 2 sets of chubby legs were running towards me, their arms connected with my wolf's fur, as they tried to hug me. Lowering my head to one brown-haired, hazel eyes, the little girl that had a huge grin splashing at me and showing me 2 missing front teeth, I nuzzled my head at her cheek, licking it gently. She giggled, loudly, turning my head as not to forget. I repeated the movement with the identical replica of a little boy. They both were giggling loudly as I kept licking at their faces. Oh, come on, Marcus. Stop. Now I need to bathe them. Again. Looking up, I saw Aubrey, my cousin, scowling at me as she was approaching us. At least help me get them back to the house, since they need a change of clothes now. I chuckled, making it a weird sound coming out of my wolf's mouth, as I crouched down to let the 2 little still giggling twins to climb onto my back, slowly trotting towards the house with 2 toddlers screaming happily, making everyone who we passed by to smile and wave at us. I saw my dad and uncle come outside as they watched us approach. Papa, look! We captured Uncle M, Zoe. My little niece spoke to my uncle as Kevin excitedly nodded his head at her words. Oh, did you now? I knew you both were strong, and if you could catch Uncle Marcus, then you proved me right. Uncle Maxwell spoke in a teasing tone as he chuckled lightly, seeing their beaming faces. I looked up and saw my father smiling as well. The moment he looked at me, he said, "Go dress and meet me in the study." He turned and went inside, leaving me with my uncle and his daughter, with 2 sets of twins who protested to climb off of my back. Always so serious. My uncle spoke of my dad as he shook his head, reaching over my back and taking Kevin off my back as Aubrey did the same with Zoe. As they walked inside, debating lightly with both toddlers about their bath time, I shifted back into my human form and walked inside the house. I walked upstairs into my room and grabbed some shorts and went back to meet with my father. As I was walking towards his study, something inside of me was telling me that I will not like what he was about to tell me. Passing by a few pack members, I greeted them and walked ahead. Soon as I came in front of the study, I reached my hand up and knocked on the door. "Come in!" My father's voice boomed from inside the room. Opening the door, I entered the room and closed the door behind me. My dad was already working as he had his reading glasses on and was writing something on some papers. "Take a seat, son." I walked deep into the room and took a seat at the chair that was in front of his desk. I waited for him to finish, not uttering a word, and a moment later he raised his head and looked at me. "Marcus, you are 18 already and almost 19 years old. I haven't pressured in asking you, but have you found your mate yet?" Shit. What was I supposed to say now? If I speak the truth, then he will want details, and that meant revealing that she is not a werewolf. And I know he would try to reason me and give me the big talk about the Council of Elders and law and rules. Blowing out a breath, I decided to lie. At least for now, or avoid, if it is possible. "Why are you asking me this now, Dad?" I furrowed my brow as I spoke, intertwining his fingers in front of him on his desk. He looked at me and spoke. "You will take my position as an alpha of this pack, and that is to happen soon. I wanted to know when the ceremony will happen. Will there be just you, or your mate will be next to you?" Swallowing down, I spoke. "That is still far ahead from now, so I can't say." He was silent for a minute. "Actually, son, it will be sooner than later, and that is why I asked. The tradition usually is for Alpha to lead when he has his Luna." "Wait, Dad. Why sooner? I thought we spoke of this already, and decided it will be on my 25th birthday." "I know, but I have to make it sooner." "Why? What is going on?" "Your mother and I spoke, and it is just time. I am honestly looking forward to taking a break, but as my father was there to guide and help me, I will do the same to you as well. That also leads me to one more thing." "What thing?" "I am sending you for an alpha training at the alpha camp." "What?" "Dad." "But school. You always said education is important, so I can't go." He narrowed his eyes at me. "You will graduate soon, and you have trained already. This is just to refresh it all in a short time. Plus your school is going there anyway. I only arrange that the practice gets advanced for you while you're there." "School? I haven't heard of any school trip. If it is the whole school, then Olivia will be in camp too." "Okay. If it's as you say, that is fine. I should go and prepare then." I stood up from the chair and walked to the door when my dad's voice stopped me. "One more thing, Marcus." I looked at him, waiting. "If you don't find your mate and she is suitable to be your Luna by your 20th birthday, you will take a chosen one and mate her." My blood froze at his words, that I could only ask one thing. "Who?" I knew he already chose, I just tried to deny it silently. "Samantha Baker." A new day has come, and I can't say I was looking forward to it. Not only did it mean that I have to go to school, but also that I will get to see again Marcus. A part of me was excited to see him again, but due to our last encounter, I was feeling nervous. Laying here in my bed, I decided to take a moment to think about all that we said to each other. I was probably a little selfish too much, as I didn't want to admit to him that he is right, as I felt jealous about Samantha. But when he smirked and felt all as some pompous jerk, I lost it. I can still see how his eyes went wide when I showed her in his face, and he tried to explain, but I just didn't want to listen. Oh dear goodness, was I wrong? I asked into the emptiness of my room. The next moment I saw my door pushed wide open, and James with a pot and a spoon slamming into each other, making a ruckus of noise while he yelled, "Walkie wakey sleepy head!" I groaned at the ruckus he was making, covering my head with the pillow in hopes that he will be gone. "Oh, come on! If you don't take that pillow off, I will tickle you." James spoke as he grabbed my sides and started to tickle. "Stop it! Jam, Mom!" I yelled at the top of my lungs for my mom to hear me. We could hear the loud footsteps as they ran over the steps and came inside my room. What happened? Her eyes frantically searched the room as James just grinned at her. "Olivia, why did you scream for me?" She narrowed her eyes at me as she spoke. "Because James didn't want to let me go and I couldn't get up from the bed." Feeling silly as I knew it is childish, but what other choice did I really have? Mom looked at James and me as she spoke firmly. "James, leave your sister alone. I asked you to wake her up, and you did, so now come with me. Your breakfast is waiting, and you, Missy, get your butt out of that bed and get dressed for school now." "Yes, Mom," James and I said in unison. Soon as they left my room, I heard them bicker in the hallway, which made me laugh. My brother is a buffoon, but yeah, I loved him. A few minutes later, I have finished my business in the bathroom. I walked to my closet to get dressed. Putting on my white jeans and a pink blouse, I took my shoes. Walking outside my room carrying my bag in my hands, walking downstairs it was. As usual, I could hear loud chatter. And I knew Max and Tyler are here as well. "Good morning, sweetheart." My dad spoke behind the newspaper that he was reading. Coming close to him as I kissed his cheek, I said, "Good morning, Daddy." Mom placed a plate for me at the table. Only unfortunately, as I was sitting down, the bacon from my plate got taken away. "Hey, give it back." I turned to Tyler as he was about to eat my bacon. "Finders keepers." "Sorry," Tyler spoke as he took a bite out of my bacon. Max and James laughed as they saw my shocked face looking and not believing what Tyler just did. Mom chuckled near the stove as she tried hard to look as she didn't see anything. I pouted at him as I took my fork and started eating the rest of my breakfast before he even thinks about taking that too. The doorbell rang, and my mom went to see who it was. A few minutes later, she walked inside with Tyson in tow. "Good morning, everyone," Tyson greeted as he took a seat down at the table. "What brings you here, Tyson?" My dad spoke as he was folding down his paper. "Well, my mom's car broke down, so I gave her mine, and I thought I might tag along with James and others and get a ride to school with," Tyson said, as he politely smiled at my dad. "Very well then," my dad said, taking his cup of steamy coffee. I looked over at Tyson, and he grinned at me. I smiled back at him as I finished up slowly my meal. Finally, as everyone was ready, James drove us to school. Tyler took a front seat as I was squeezed in between two huge rocks named Max and Tyson. I know some girls would be on the 9th cloud for that opportunity, but I couldn't move a muscle. Tyson even offered me to sit on his lap, which I refused in an instant. As we all were pulling out of the car, I saw Marcus and his friends near the entrance of the school. Our eyes locked instantly, and in the next second, I saw them grew darker as his lips formed a thin line. Following his eye of sight, I saw he was looking at my hand in Tyson's, so I removed it soon as I got out of the car. Tyson was oblivious to the death stare he was receiving. And maybe that was a good thing, as he was smiling at me. "Thank you," I said politely at him. As I turned away towards the school, I saw Marcus shaking in anger. I could feel his anger as the two of his friends were asking him, "What is wrong?" I walked slowly towards the school, not removing my eyes off of him, thinking about how I should find a moment to speak privately with him and apologies for yesterday, deciding to walk up to him and ask him if we can talk somewhere later privately. My thoughts of what to say were disrupted as I saw that long-legged blonde she-wolf fast approaching Marcus. I stopped in my tracks as I saw her putting her hand on his bicep and leaning over, saying something in his ear. Marcus didn't pull away. He just nodded his head, and they all walked inside the school. Okay, that was not as I planned. Feeling the jealousy rising inside me as I watched them, I didn't notice someone wrapping his arm around mine. "Are you okay, princess?" Turning my head to the sound of the voice, I saw Tyson looking at me with worry in his eyes. "Yeah, I am fine." I tried to sound normal, but my voice was thick with anger. Tyson didn't say another word as he led me inside the school hall. He even stayed close to me while I was taking out my books from my locker. "You know, I am fine. You can go to your class," I said as I was sorting my locker. "I know, but I just wanted to tell you I really had fun yesterday, and maybe we could do that again." Closing my locker, I looked at Tyson, who was smiling at me, waiting for my answer. Above his shoulder, I could see Marcus looking at us intently as his jaw was clenched shut and eyes narrowed down to the slits. His nostrils were flaring as I knew he heard what Tyson had just said and is waiting for my answer. I felt nervous as I swallowed down the lump that formed in my dry throat. I guess so." I watched Marcus's reaction as he turned around and walked away. Seeing him walking away sent a pang of guilt and hurt in my heart. "Great! How about this weekend?" Tyson was oblivious to his surroundings as he was happily smiling at me. "A no can't do." Hearing Mandy's voice as she came next to us, she spoke as she pointed a finger at me. "You and I, girlie, are going to a party this weekend." She grinned at me as I groaned, annoyed by just the thought of that. Tyson was now glaring at Mandy as he spoke low. "Well, maybe some other day then, princess," as he said that he left to his classroom. Mandy just flashed after him a winner's smile and took my hand, guiding me to our classroom. We were chatting happily and laughing when her laugh was abruptly silenced. Following her line of sight, I saw James, as some newcomer cheerleader, was obviously flirting with him. Not wanting Mandy to be hurt or make a scene, I dragged her into our class. As finally, after the third period, the lunch break bell rang, students ran out to get faster as they can to the cantina. Finally, taking all my notes and books into my arms, I walked slowly to the cantina as I could see that the hallways are already getting empty. On my way there was an announcement made by the principal, Mr. Bennett. "All students listen here. After the lunch break, the teachers in our next classes will give you permission sheets that are to be filled and signed by your parents. The sheets are for the educational camp, and all the needed info of it is written down on the sheets. The deadline is next Friday, and who doesn't give it to your class teacher? The permission sheets, they won't attend the trip. Have a good day." Feeling curious as to what is that camp about and the programs it gives, I walked ahead completely lost in my own thought, as I haven't noticed the door to my left slowly open and a hand grabbing me as I was pulled in. Before I could scream, a hand was pressed over my mouth as I tried to adjust my eyes to the full darkness of the room. The darkness of the room made an uneasy feeling settled in my stomach. I tried to focus my senses in my environment as I slowly took all in. The hand pressed tightly on my lips was foreign, but I could still smell the scent of raspberries. I tried to place the scent to a person. Then, after a moment of thinking, it hit me. I tried to wriggle out of the grip, as finally I freed myself. My vision wasn't focused fully, but I could see outlines slowly as my senses grew. What is the meaning of this? I spoke in a harsh tone. I felt the movement as the body was pushing me into the wall, and I heard a menacing chuckle. Oh, little fishy, did I scare you? The voice was cold, and it sent chills to run down my spine. Not wanting to show weakness, I raised my chin and strengthened my shoulders as I said, "What do you want, Samantha?" She chuckled once more than in a second. Her hand grabbed on my neck and squeezed tightly. "Now listen and listen. Will you stinky fish? Stay the fuck away from my man. If I ever see you again to look his way, talk to him. Let's just say you won't like the outcome." Her voice was low and hard as she spoke, as with each syllable her grip tightened more onto my neck. "You are crazy. Let go of me." Grabbing onto her wrist, I tried to get her hand off of my neck. "He is mine. This is your last warning." She spoke and pulled away as I collapsed onto the floor, trying to catch on much-needed air. Marcus is a grown man and can decide who to hang out with and be with, and I doubt he will ever be with someone as crazy as you are. I focused my eyes on her face as my vision finally cleared and spoke with determination in my voice. Her laugh was scary as hell. But what she said after was the blow to my heart that took all the air away from me. "You think he will ever want to be with a poor, useless fish as you are? I don't know what is going on between you both, but I am stopping that now. You are no one. Nothing. Marcus would never mingle with trash as you are. He will always go for a werewolf, his own, and guess who he is going to claim as his Luna? Me. That is a lie." My voice sounded weak as I spoke. "Oh no, it isn't. You see, little fish, it is already arranged. When Marcus turns 20 of age, he will take his father's position and be crowned as our pack alpha. The same day that happens, by our tradition, he will take his Luna. And he chose me to take that place by his side. Forever." Words got caught in my throat as she said that. I felt as it shattered my heart into millions of pieces. I didn't want to believe any of that. I can't. I need to hear that from him. I need to speak with him. As her words kept replaying in my mind, I paid no attention to her, until I heard a loud crash that made me stand up and look ahead. As I was about to speak, the lights in the room turned on, making me blinded for a moment as I closed my eyes. What is going on here? I heard Marcus's voice making me snap my eyes open and look at him as he was looking at me and Samantha. He froze for a second, making me turn my head as that is when I saw Samantha laying on the floor, holding her leg and sobbing loudly. "What the hell?" was a silent question that came up in my mind as I realized she set me up. I turned my head to Marcus as my eyes grew wide. He moved from his spot and rushed towards her as he knelt on the floor. I saw him saying something to her as his arms wrapped around her body. And he scooped her up into his arms. Turning towards me, he looked at me in fury as he walked towards the door. "Marcus, it isn't." I was cut in the middle of a sentence as he silenced me with his hard look. I tried again, but he growled at me, successfully silencing me. I saw Samantha as she buried her head into his neck, pulling him closer to her. A sinister smile was tugging at her lips as she looked at me. I felt as my entire world has just collapsed on me. "Stop it, Olivia. I don't want to hear it now." And then he was gone, together with Samantha in his arms. My legs have given up as I crumbled to the floor crying, feeling devastated. He is going to believe her. I couldn't believe she went so far as to break her own leg just to blame it on me. I stayed in the room for a while, crying my heart to its content until I was finally feeling a little calmer. To walk outside, deciding it would be best to wash my face before my brother sees me. I walked into the bathroom, As I was washing my face, the door opened, and I heard Lizzie, Mandy, and Annie walk inside. "Where have you been?" Lizzie spoke. Annie handed me a paper towel to dry off my face as Mandy stood there with her arms crossed, silently watching me. "Sorry. I just got caught up and then needed to use the bathroom. I tried to use the half-truth in hopes that they don't press on the matter." "Well, if you are done, we should hurry up as lunch is already half finished by now," Mandy said, not leaving her eyes off of me. "Yeah, sure." I forced a smile on my face, hoping they won't notice it was a fake one. We all walked towards the cantina, and all I could hear was soon the busy chatter and laughter. As we entered, Lizzie, Annie, and Mandy started walking towards our usual table at which already sat Tyler, Max, and Tyson. Tyson patted a seat next to him, and I sat down slowly. "Took you a while. Everything okay, princess?" Tyson asked me softly, and I tried to avoid his eyes as I looked around the cantina. I saw both friends of Marcus, sitting with few other guys that obviously were on the same team as they were. But I couldn't find Marcus anywhere. They both turned their heads to look at me. But I couldn't see anything on their faces as they turned their heads fast back towards their friends. "Ollie?" Tyson called me as he took my arm into his. I couldn't deal with that now, as I slowly removed my hand from his hold. "Yes, everything is fine." I could feel his eyes watching at me intently as he was about to press more about the matter, so I decided to beat him at it. "Where is James?" I spoke and noticed Mandy stiffen at the mention of his name. "What is going on there?" "Well, he is right there talking with some girl," Tyson answered, as he pointed out to the direction where my brother was. I looked in the direction of James and saw some dark-haired cheerleader, obviously flirting with him. He was laughing at something she said to him, making her in return to laugh as well. I looked at Mandy and saw her jaw clenched as she was looking at them. Her eyes were burning. I was about to go sit next to her, but she stood up and walked towards some jock. If my heart wasn't already in pieces, I would find this entertaining. My eyes were going from Mandy to James, and the moment Mandy laughed at something that Jock said, James turned his attention towards her. A frown made its way onto his face as the girl was animatedly speaking to him. But it was obvious he wasn't paying any more attention to her. His eyes followed every movement that was between Mandy and the jock. The moment Mandy walked happily back to our table, I saw James saying something to the girl. "What was that?" Annie beat me to it as she turned and asked Mandy. Mandy just gave her an enormous smile as she innocently spoke while batting her eyelashes, faking innocence. "What? Oh, you know damn well what I am asking, Missy." Annie spoke as she chuckled. I looked over where James was and saw him walking towards us with a hard look on his face. If I didn't know better, I would say he was jealous. "Well, it seems I have a date." Mandy spoke in a cheerful, innocent voice. "What?" Loud growling was heard as the ground shook from the intensity.